And I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about top Montreal Scrabble player Jason. Just kidding. Jason Lee. That was a throwback to when we were trying to say something nice about Jason and got cut off at the Word Cup. But Jason nearly won a Nationals in Buffalo, I believe, back in 2015 as well, finishing just losing the championship game. I don't know if he ended up finishing second or third that year. But yeah, Montreal, an absolute hotbed of Scrabble right now. And we've seen this pop up in different regions at different times. New York City, certainly a powerhouse for a while. Portland, Oregon, famously hosting the Scrabble House of Rafi Stern, Conrad Bassett-Bouchard, Colton as well. So yeah, we've seen different Scrabble hotbeds at different times, but Montreal is certainly the place to be right now. Despite the French spoken on that island frequently, the English Scrabble scene there exceptionally strong. We've got these
Absolutely.
players.
And to talk about Jason Lee, you don't have to go back to 2015. Just 2 weeks ago, he finished second place at the World Cup, bringing home a very cool $2,500. So if you want to go to Montreal, there are a ton of great players. And Kyle Falahi, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. What a nice guy. And he won one of the divisions there in the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So there is
Yes.
lots of talent in Montreal at all levels. As Josh shakes the bag, we are getting ready to begin game 4.
Yes, and the player playing first has won each of the first 3 games. The player sitting on the left of the stream has also won the first 3 games. So that is a trend Joey would very much like to keep alive. But Josh could perhaps break serve and end this thing right now. Looks like we're about to get underway with game 4. Again, Josh leading 2-1 in our best of 5. A victory here seals it for Josh, Joey needing to win each of the next 2. And with that handshake, we are off. Joey reaching into the bag. Will he draw a first turn bingo as we've seen twice already in this series? Or will he draw a first turn Q as I think he's also pulled twice in this series so far?
I've
We're
got to
underway.
say, I'm nervous for both these players, and nothing's on the line for me, and yet it's so close to the end here. It just gets so tense, and that's part of what I love. As Joey draws A, B, C, E, G, and U, he could just play off something like Bug, leaving a very nicely balanced cane.
I think he's playing cubage here. The 6-letter Cubage, significantly better in my mind than Bug. Yeah, ACE is bingo prone, but 12 points versus 28. You've got to play the 6 if you see and know that word.
Yeah, I tend to like to play short. I'm a bit more defensive like you. I like those early turn, shorter openings, but a player like Joey definitely doesn't seem to play like that. He's looking at something a bit more in between, begun, which would leave AC. One of the problems I think with cubage is just where the A and the E would slot. If you put the C on the multiplier square, they'd both be beneath different multipliers. So you can play this different ways. I do agree the computer will probably like a play like cubage, just it scores so much more, but actually he's going to go with my shorter idea of Bug.
Yeah, and this is something we see Joey do very well. Keep great tiles to try to bingo next turn. Bug and Cubage both allow Josh to play the very cute Gree, Gri, and Josh wasting no time before he puts that down. One of the only bailout plays from this yucky triplicate I first rack. So 12 for Joey, 10 for Josh, and we are off to the races, I suppose, in this one as well. As Joey now ACEEEIN. We won't see very many points again this turn. And given the way we've seen Joey play, he's either playing GEE for 8 or a GEE for 10 out of this rack with almost certainty.
Yeah, that's definitely how he's playing it, leaving a nice 3 or 4 tile leave that's nicely balanced towards bingos, or even a 5 tile leave if you wanted, leaving that leaving that A, excuse me. I got to give Josh credit for finding that Gree word. It's definitely one I've seen before, and the power of finding that is so big. If he misses that play, everything else is so much inferior to the best play there. So Josh has been really consistent in his word finding on stream this entire tournament. Hats off to him. Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the play of Sanies earlier in an end game.
Yeah,
Why on earth do you even know that word? That should be the
I
very
didn't.
last word you ever study. A six with two S's that doesn't come from any other words. So if you know that, I can more or less assume either you come from a strong Boggle background, which Josh does not, or you know damn near all of the words in the lexicon.
And look at that. He's setting up AEE, which would play for Aji. I do like this play. It leaves a nice leave with plenty of pun there. And
Very
it
good.
really matches the style that he tries. And that's worked so well for him in much of this tournament. Leave a bingo prone leave and try and draw into those bingos that he knows so many of them.
Yeah, Joey looks like he's set up Nice on his rack, perhaps, or Beanie. If he does string an E out, Josh to play Lobbyist. And Beanie is indeed a very non standard play, not really what we've seen from Joey thus far. And this is going to backfire hard on him as Lobbyist going to come down from Josh for a big scoring bingo out of a rack that otherwise was rather sloppy.
Yeah, I don't want to criticize the play because he's going to get hit with a bingo. You can't know what your opponent has, but I just don't really understand the purpose of this. You could get hit with a big Z bomb next to the A of Beanie. You could get hit with something that hooks it. Uh, there's like a lot of different ways this can go wrong if your opponent had an F next to the I of Beanie. A G just seemed like it had a nicer leave. It's and it I don't know. I like you said, this is a non-standard play. I'm trying to think what his reasoning was to switch from a G to Beanie.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And Josh, it looked like originally hadn't seen it, but now does have this arranged on his rack. Perhaps Josh a little bit nervous as what letters does Lobbyist take in front? Clearly an F and an S. But is there anything else? And if so, what is it? Perhaps a G? Josh has to be very worried about setting up these hooks, and if he's not confident, he wants to find another bingo, but we know that there isn't one. And I'll go ahead and spoil the hooks. F, G, S are all valid, and Joey's sitting on two of those right now.
Yeah, and floppiest and sloppiest are very common words. Gloppiest would be the one that a lot of players might not be sure of. Joey himself looks like he'd have a bingo of feasance, Feasance, if that were to stay open, but I don't see any way that's staying open. So oh, as Josh, perhaps he wasn't sure of Lobbyist. So he's going to pull it back and play Pop, which is definitely a nice equity play if you don't see or know the bingo. But a bit of a surprising miss there from, I think.
Yeah, big miss by Josh. There's no reason to pass up the bingo here. And while it does block Feasance, Joey's still sitting on a 44-point double double of Fanegas, Fanegas, or a very strong play of just IF and FA for 26, holding the powerful Canes rack. So an uncharacteristic miss for Josh, one that if he loses this game and goes on to lose his tournament, may haunt him for quite some time. We'll see if it punishes him, as Joey looking at Fanegas here. Between the 44-point double-double and the 26-point plunk, what do you like here, Jared?
Yeah, I think I like the double double here. It scores a lot more. The C is a nice leave. You're going towards those blanks, going early. The play of pop is sort of hard to read into because Josh has just played off gree, meaning he had pretty ugly tiles there, right? Duplicate I's, duplicate R's. So you're not really sure what he left with that. And then pop, well, that scores really nicely. He could have left pretty much anything there, like a lot of one pointers. I'd sort of maybe infer something like TIER, I don't know, something random like that. So I'd be inclined here to take the points. What about
Yeah,
you?
I think just given the shape of the board, the S exceptionally powerful, and you can make it even more powerful. The S going behind Beanie to make beanies, and Beanier in NWL only takes the S back hook, I believe.
Yeah.
But also the spot to bingo with Spa down to that, and the way FA sets up the S in this case. And I don't like playing short often. In this case, I think it's the correct thing to do, just given the firepower you hold on to.
Yeah,
Joey,
Keynes is really strong on many spots on this board, and it's going to work out. I see Ascents as a very obvious sort of bingo there. As Josh scores nicely with Twit and sort of goes through his rack, leaving LSU. Uh,
Yeah,
shout
no
out.
brainer play.
So, not much to think about on Josh's turn. For Joey now, he just has to make sure he finds the best bingo in the best spot.
And the best bingo here would be Scantist to the T in Twit for 83. Though if he doesn't see that or elects to bypass it as it opens his board, stances, secants, ascents all play as sevens in the IFS spot. But Scantist, definitely the highest scoring bingo. Joey arranging it now on his rack and likely going to play this in the next few seconds to pull him ahead in this game.
Yeah, he'll want to make sure that none of the sevens double double, meaning it would go with ifs and AT, for example. But there's nothing there. You listed the three sevens, so he'll play Scantus. That'll place a very dangerous. Oh, it looks like he was held. I don't think he'll be held for too long. This is a pretty common word, but we'll see what happens. Josh seems like he really wants to have a look at this one.
There is nothing wrong with holding a play. Hold, for those of you newer to Scrabble, essentially means I'm not sure if your word is a word. I might challenge this, and you can hold any play you want. Generally, players after 15 seconds on hold are allowed to draw and look at new tiles, but once a tile has been drawn after a play, that play considered to be unchallengeable. So hold is your way of saying, I want to think about this just a little bit longer. And I think players don't hold plays nearly as often as they should. They're afraid of looking bad or weak to their opponent. And sometimes things don't even get held. But Josh holds the play. Let me think about this a little bit longer, and makes the right decision eventually. Yeah, you know what? I'll let this go. Yeah, that's a word. I just wanted to be sure. But Scant just a devastating bingo. A lot of points for Joey, puts him ahead by about 60. And Josh with a terrible rack here. Perhaps going to play something like Ligula or Ligular if he wants to get rid of all of this Drek at once, or maybe keep things a little bit tighter and more bingo prone with a play like IGLU through that G up top, or a play like AULIC down to the C and Scantus for 14 if he really wants to open this board up. Jared, what are you thinking here?
I wouldn't play Oleg. I think the S is sort of his friend as he wants to get back to this game. And I would definitely play Ligula before Ligular. I wouldn't think the R is Drek. I think the R goes nicely with that S leave. So, and it also sets up the hook. So Ligula, out of the plays we mentioned, definitely looks good. You could fish, like you said, with Igloo, but I would lean towards Ligula of the plays that you listed.
Ligula taking 3 back hooks, an E, an R, and an S. And I think potentially, just to make it a little bit harder for Joey to counter, I'd consider putting the R on it. But if I'm Josh trailing in this game, do I need to start opening this board, or is it open enough to my satisfaction with bingo opportunities, front hooking PA, and down to the S in Scantist, likely to stay open for a long, long time in this game?
Yeah, with ifs, with spa, with the S and Scantus, this board is wide open. He could definitely play Igloo and say ALRS is going to bingo a fair amount of the time, but instead, I think he is going to go with Ligula, which matches what I think of his play style, liking to play a bit longer. Definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's going to make an open board even more open for Josh now as it kind of forks this board open, setting up back hooks. Joey potentially has the option now to make a 4-letter play on top of the A, which would open Josh for a lot of counters. So a cool play by Josh. I do think I'm a fan. BHORVVY on Joey's post bingo draw. Double V's never fun, especially with a Y and an H as well. I wonder how Joey is going to respond to this. Standard equity play looks like HOVE and HA, and yet with this lead, how could you possibly do that? So maybe HOY, Opa and Yon to the left of Pop for 35 holds both V's, maybe just VAV through the A in Ligula to be aggressive in closing this board. Or maybe another
Or
option.
Varv.
or you have Varv as well, but Varv allows plays down from that E, or maybe a play like hover and AH to the right of FA. That scores 32 without opening up much back. What are you thinking here, Jared? A lot of good options, but all have some drawbacks.
Yeah, hover down there though could get hit with a big J or Z play. It doesn't give back the lanes that this one does. I like Varv here. It does give a 7 lane, and there wasn't necessarily a great 7 lane. You could play sevens above Ligula, or of course if you have an S to Spa. But I like playing off 4 here. We still haven't seen the blanks. HOY is about as good of a leave as he could have here, and getting rid of both the V's is nice. I wouldn't want to just play above here. If you're going to play in that spot, I'd rather also get rid of the R and the E. They are nice tiles, but I think it's a good time to turn over more.
Yeah, definitely an interesting play there. And I don't think I could ever tell you what was actually right, but a lot of decisions. I'm sure chat will have strong opinions about this in about 5 minutes. I'll be paying attention. And now Josh setting up no forks, ironic because he did just fork the board last turn. But unable to maybe fork this one again, he's going to look for a play. And he's going to have to decide how he wants to approach this game now. Looks like solid options are oof or roof to the left of Pop, making Opa and Fawn, or could consider also Roofs, putting down the S as well. Roofs would score 39 points in a game where Josh is down a significant margin. The S went from very valuable to not so valuable pretty quickly, and a play like Roof would make it quite invaluable on this board. One concern I have with any of those plays, though, is if Joey plays from that left center triple word square over to the R in roof or front hooking oof, Josh's floating S in Scantist goes away. And all of a sudden, this board could get very closed very quickly for him. But Roof is, I think, going to have to be his play just in the absence of anything else good, unless Josh wants to do something wild like playing NOOK and Fan. So Roof, 31 points for Josh, and he'll need a big draw here.
I liked Roof there. It takes away where Joey wanted to play there of Alloy, but of course Josh didn't know that. But even if Joey does play to the R there, there's still a lot of life on this board for Josh. Next to the E of Varv, above the Li of Ligula, from the I of Twit, and whatever was open to the R of that Joey would have played in that scenario. So definitely no problem with Roof there. He also, if he wanted to be really aggressive, could have played Kerf, holding that S, really trying to scare Joey and sort of saying, I hope you don't have it. I'm going to make you overreact. But I don't think the score necessitated such an aggressive play. So I think Roof looked pretty standard, and I'm happy to see that one come down.
Yeah, Roof, a tough play to make, but one I think he has to. And Joey needs to decide, do I play a 5 to that R? The only one I see is Lahar, Lahar, scores 27, holds LOY. Or do I leave the spot alone, at least temporarily, and make a more standard equity play? AAH on top of Scantist holds OLLY, which synergizes rather well into itself, although perhaps not the best leave. He could also play Hoya, Hoya, to the right of FA, making AH, scoring 30 points and setting up big scoring opportunities. But with a lead like this, maybe you want easy scoring opportunities as opposed to bingo lines. What are you thinking here, Jared? Would you play Lahar or consider something else?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I definitely want to think about what tiles Josh might have after Roof, or at least what tiles he doesn't have. And I'm thinking he probably left 1 point tiles with a play like Roof a lot of the time. He's going to play Holy here. Uh, Playing it to the right there takes out the 7 line next to the E and Varv. So that seems like a pretty clever idea. I didn't see this as a candidate play, but I'm actually liking this one. What do you think?
Yeah, as soon as I saw Joey play this, I like this play a lot. And we've seen Joey maybe struggle to control the board quite right with deficits, but this is a wonderful play when he's ahead. However, Josh, two big plays, D6 or Kex above Ligula. Kex is 41, holding DENS, D6 61 points, and that would bring Josh to within just a few points of Joey. But maybe Josh, seeing that the DENS leave just too powerful, sacrificing 20 points to hold on to it over the KN leave of G6. What do you think? Would you have taken the extra 20 there, Jared?
No, I would play Kex. DENS goes really nice to that S of Scantus and down to the next to the RO of Roof. So I think that's a really good idea. It also goes beneath EL to form Eld or Ls, as Joey makes a really nice play here through 2 tiles. Alexia, that's
Yeah.
a really nice way to clean off a rack that only had one and maybe a half consonant.
Yeah, awesome find. Finds it immediately too, and a really good way to address the play that Josh has just made. But Josh with an incredible pull here as well, DEENST blank, and he's quickly finding his highest scoring bingo of standees for 80 points. This is the only 80 pointer for him, although 77 pointers exist down to that S as well, and from the A on top. But standees now going to put Josh ahead in this game, 240 to 225. He takes the lead in a game where he's been losing since about turn 2. Joey to respond now. DENOOWY on his turn.
Yeah, is Woodenly?
Woodenly is valid,
It
and it
is.
plays for
Okay.
84 points. That looks really wild. I wonder if
It
this is one
almost
of those words that you'd be uncertain of, but Joey has shown great word knowledge
I think it
all.
looks like he's setting it up. It almost looks redundant, right? Like you're wooden. Like, so why do you need the ly? It's already saying you're wooden. And ly normally goes towards verbs. So we'll see if Josh challenges this one, because it definitely makes sense as a word, but he is on hold here. Yeah, I saw it right away. After all my word mistakes in game 2 of this set, I was a bit hesitant to bring it up. I had told myself that I would open Quackle and try and not, embarrass myself. But honestly, I want to show players that you can get really good at this game without having perfect word knowledge. Very few players do. These words are very difficult to know for sure. It makes sense as a word, but making sense isn't enough. Lots of words that make sense aren't in the dictionary. So Josh is definitely put to the test here. Would you have challenged a word like woodenly, Matt?
I have no idea. It's so
Yeah.
situational in this circumstance. Woodenly would put Joey ahead by 69 points, and we do know it is good. Josh, one letter away from HADJ on top as a killer 90-point
He still
response.
has John or something, though, which would score
Yeah,
very nicely. And Joey drew
John.
the blank.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Joey did draw the blank. So we'll get the unseen pool up for y'all. From Josh's perspective, 26 unseen after the bingo, putting 19 in the bag. So Josh has to be thinking there's greater than a 1 in 3 chance Joey's going to pull that second blank after this. John is a good play, scores 44, but I'll still be down 25 points and a tempo. It'll be Joey's turn, is essentially what that means. Can I win if I accept this play? Do I have to challenge to win? Spread not a consideration with the format we've got. So Josh going all out, he's got to decide, do I challenge this word? Is this game over for me? Or are there still paths to victory after JOHN?
There are still paths to victory. That blank is out, that C is out, there's an S out. The other person can get stuck with the Q and not have a good spot to play it. You're not guaranteed to lose by any means after John. So you don't have to challenge for that reason, but if you don't like it, you do have to challenge.
No, Josh has a great sequence. He can play join,
And
not
setting up
John,
Hadge if he draws
and
the
then
A.
set up Hodge. There's 3 A's
Yeah,
unseen and a blank. So Josh doesn't need a bingo to get back into this game. Josh, more than anybody, I expect to see join first and, just sit on the HADJ draw. That's going to be over 50 points. So join for 38 and then Hodge for over 50. That springs Josh back into the lead. Is that what he's
and
going to do here? Or
I
is he going
think
to
so. And that spot will stay open a lot. It's sort of hard to address it just with the tiles he's putting down there and the way the other tiles are already sitting. And even if he doesn't get that spot, the H is very valuable on this board. Next to the A of standees, next to the A of fa, there's definitely many spots on this board for the H. So playing join instead of John,
I
this is
love
why
it.
this is why players take a bit longer on turns. Often as commentators, we're just going to throw out the first thing we think about, the first thing we see, And the players will also have their initial thoughts, but you can't just go with your initial thought. You have to think these positions through, make these setup plays. Will he draw an A? No.
But
Duplicate
that
D's,
spot's so
duplicate I's.
unlikely, so unlikely to go away that he can continue rolling the dice for one of those A's. And we see Joey has none of them. So more than likely, Josh will draw it. Though you can see he exhales, looks at the ceiling. Man, I went for the setup and I didn't get it. Now I'm going to have to try again. And that's the worst thing about these setups is when you don't draw them, you're playing with the hand tied behind your back. You have to hold off 2 or 3 tiles to try to hit it next turn. But the upside of HADG or HADJ or HADJI would be even more points if he holds on to an I. Man, that's a game-winning play. And Joey had his bingo of Routemen, Routemen, blocked by Join. Now he's going to have to think harder about this turn. I think he's got a great play in NEUM above Scantist, 4 overlaps for 28 points. He's holding that blank. He kind of wants to bingo with it, but with this lead, you're not thinking you need to open this board, right? You think he sniffs out the Hodge possibility, or do you think he's just fixated on a stay ahead in this game, keep the blank, and try to win?
I think Haji scores 58 points, so I really hope he sees it as a possibility. One thing you can see as we have the tiles unseen by the active player on the top right of the screen is that they're not exactly very bingo prone. So you don't really want to have your opponent on a bingo. Perhaps you could play something from the E to the triple to the right to start opening up bingo lanes. NEUME would be sort of the play if you were to go in that direction, or even EMEU if you wanted to hold an even more balanced lead.
Yeah, not sure what Joey's going to do here. I do want to point out in that unseen pool, both the Q and the Z still out from both players' perspective. Maybe Joey thinking about holding the U to avoid getting a nightmare situation. Q without very many opportunities at all on this board. I wonder if Joey's thinking about that, perhaps thinking about playing off a smaller play here to avoid drawing it, or considering holding onto the U. Maybe a play like EM on top of Scantist, the way to go for him here.
Yeah, I'd love for him to keep different bingo lanes open. That one from the I and Twit is definitely not one you want to overlook. And even from the A of Alexia, but for that one, you'd probably have to keep the M. Again, I'm just sort of throwing out thoughts as they come to me. Something like Amenders, I guess. But he's not just going to fish off the U. He wants to keep the scoring pressure going. There's so much to think about here. He could just drop the EM somewhere and keep a nicely balanced sleeve, but will it stay open, that being a bingo lane? I guess next to join is his most promising lane, but a bingo there is probably only going to score about 60.
Yeah, and I wonder if Josh, with his next play, tries to obstruct those bingos alongside Join to ensure that the Haji spot stays available. This is a tense game. While it looks like there's a huge advantage for Joey, we know that Josh, very close to a bingo or to a bingo score of his own, could get right back in it. So Joey dropping Emu. I don't know if he's going to get burned getting rid of that U. Let's watch and see if he picks up a Q. Let's watch and see if he picks up a bingo in one of those marginal lines.
Oh,
There it
he picked
is.
up the Q. You called it.
I called it. I would have held on to the U there if I could have avoided it. But now Josh probably got to figure out how to hold on to H, D, and maybe one of those I's as well. So looking to play off the tiles and gird. I wonder if we just see GIRD and TED or something in that vein.
Yeah, that would definitely work. I'm a bit surprised he played emo where he did because that felt like the easiest lane for him to hit, and he certainly seemed to be trying to keep a nice balanced lead towards going for the bingo. I know from a straight equity perspective, the U isn't as good as some of the other tiles, but I think you could have dropped the ME elsewhere, recognizing that a U is, even though it's not a great tile, it is a pretty good bingo tile.
Yeah, we'll see. I think his a play of GID making or DIG rather, Ted, Ami, and Nug is an awesome opportunity here for Josh. It holds the R, so one less turnover, but shut this board back down. Make Joey wonder what you're trying to do. and see if you can hit that Hodge or Haji spot soon.
If you're going full out for the Haji spot, you really kind of want to play that R, although like a play like Grid would just look so weird to Joey. It would really sort of get like his like skin raised as if to say, I think you're on to something. What are you doing? Why are you just playing for so little points here? You need to get back in this game. What is the point of this? And
Yeah, yeah, that's why I
maybe
like
that would
Dig.
alert him.
Yeah, Dig looks very very normal, very I don't have any other options. I don't think it's as hard to sniff out. I think Dig is a great play here for Josh. And once he makes it again, 3 pulls at one of those 3 A's, he should more than likely get this.
Yeah, because he also has the blank that he could hit it with. So there's really 4 tiles he could draw that would allow for a big Haji play that I calculated at 58. Even if I was wrong, it's going to be about that. So Josh has just ticking under 11 minutes. Both players still have a lot of time. No reason really to rush here. We'll see
Yeah.
which direction he goes. He's down a fair bit, 55. He's going to play. What is he playing here? Ridgy. Okay.
Okay, so he is playing off all 4 of those tiles, and this is a good little feint. It looks
Yeah.
like he is opening the board for his bingo, but really fishing for Haji. I think, though, just the way I've seen Joey play, he may be a little less likely than some other players to sniff out the Haji setup. And with that blank and bingo prone stuff out, I think Josh might get hit back by a bingo that neutralizes the threat that was Haji too often. Did Josh miss the A's again? That
Yeah,
is
he
brutal.
didn't get the A's.
Oh
He
my
got the Z and
goodness.
the S. Those are normally good tiles, but that's not what he needed here. I gotta say that Ridgy play is really creative. Maybe against Joey, he didn't have to be as creative, and he could have been a bit safer, not giving that bingo lane, like you said. But it's definitely one that doesn't suggest Haji. It looks like you're going for your own bingo. So Joey sees that he's really close to a play like Ramekin.
Joey's seen Ramjet through the J, burning his blank for 50.
Oh, that's beautiful. Except he could really get stuck with that Q later in the game. But I still think 55 points on this board is pretty big. The opponent bingo tiles, unseen tiles, still aren't great. They're getting a bit closer to bingos. And Josh did just play off 4. So I think on a couple straight turns he's played off. He played off 3 with Join and then 4 with Ridgy. So I don't think he's necessarily too close to a bingo, and the pool's sort of ugly. So even though holding the Q could be disastrous here, Ramjet, like you said, scored 52. This is a tough. He's going to play Mank. Oh, this is smart. If he doesn't get hit with Hodge.
This is smart if you don't see the Hodge possibility, ERE, no back hooks. So Joey feeling like after 39 points here, there's no way Josh can outscore me, barring a fluke bingo from the eye. Had Josh picked up one of those A's, this would be so interesting. And we know Joey looking at the J as he saw Ramjet set it up on his rack. I wonder if he's also considering Hodge here, but Joey picking up another A, still one in the bag for Josh. But I think at this point, it's
It's not
unlikely
enough.
to be able to hit it.
Yeah, and Joey drew into Badier and Bitrate, I believe, are the 2 bingos there, not Beretta, like I've tried before. That needs 2 R's. So,
It can be 2 T's.
oh, it can be 2 T's. Okay, so do any of those play next to Emu? I'm just trying to see. No, Bitrate doesn't. I don't think any of them quite fit there.
I do not. Yeah.
Okay, so that he definitely, he likes to play the equity game, and he gets a lot of really nice bingos on his rack. He doesn't need to bingo here, but he has to look around the board and try and identify where he could most get hit. And from Josh's perspective right now, he's looking at a very balanced pool with A's, B, C, E, I, O, R, T, all very common bingo tiles. And Josh still, I think, is going to want to sort of look towards Haji with a lack of another plan. Can he go for something like iodizers from the eye of Twit? That's relying on an ER, though. That's a tough ask.
if he plays off his H in front of ERE, each HERE takes an S back hook, and
Here's
he holds the last S. So I wonder if he can draw something like hears and says, hears and sized next turn, if he can set himself up. I mean, the Hodge spot's so dangerous, but if that gets blocked, he's done. I don't think he's got options that score enough in other cases. So I'm not sure how Josh can get back into this game as he's missed that A draw now twice. Iodizers, maybe the fish, maybe here in a setup, something like that. Maybe you hope Joey whiffs on Hodge. I wonder if there's a way you can set up a second threat, though, that Joey needs to address while holding on to possibilities of Hodge, or if there are other bingos to fish for here.
Yeah, the deficit is 81 points. Hodge would only cut into about 58 of that. And when you look at Joey's rack, you see he's going to have a lot of flexibility to go out pretty quickly in the end game. So Josh's in a very difficult position here. And if anyone can come up with a plan here, it's someone like Josh. Josh and Jackson, we've seen it all tournament being so creative on stream. Um, he looks like he's setting up maybe HO and here, but what would SZUID hit is the real question.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that U is just so ugly for him. If he had just drawn an A, I think we might be about to declare him the champion, or at least he'd have a really good shot. That Manx spot looks so promising where the A is sitting, but his tiles just aren't working for it. He can't empty. I don't know what he's supposed to do here.
Yeah, I wonder, like a play DUH from the D and Rigi could set up plays like Hazels or Hazers or something. Maybe the potential to draw something there. 3 tiles in the bag, so a 2-tile play means Joey does not have perfect knowledge of your rack. But at this point, maybe look for a sneaky bingo in the top row from the A, or like you said, iodizers from the R. Options are limited for Josh. He's got to be annoyed here, shaking his head that he missed his Hodge setup twice. Did a clever job keeping himself in the game, but just didn't draw what he needed.
Yeah, like the problem with both hazers and iodizers is they both rely on drawing ER out of the bag. And to get the exact 2 tiles you want out of a bag that there's 10 unseen to you, like that's really unlikely, especially because players tend to hang on to tiles like E and R. I'd really like to set up some sort of a pathway where you're not relying on a specific fish of exactly 2 tiles. But if that's the best he has, it might be what he has to go for. Something like does force Joey to at least to address the spot. But it also gets rid of the H for Haji. Not that I think at this score, Haji would be enough, considering Josh would have to still hold on to that U.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to threaten a Zito overlapping Mank at the top. UH playing off those 2 tiles and picking up an I would allow him, or an A would allow him to do that. But a Zito for 62 points, probably not enough to catch Josh back up into this game either. I think he likely has no path to victory here.
He could, yeah, if he played off UH above Scantist, trying to go for a Zito there, I think that's what he's sort of thinking about now, if I had to guess. I agree it's probably not enough, but it could get close if, depending on what Joey responds with. So I guess Josh sort of has to consider, like, what's the worst sort of rack that Joey could have? Because he's going to need Joey to have a bad rack in order to have a chance in this game. And so a good thought process when you're in these situations where it's feeling really desperate is you have to start to make assumptions of a few things that might have to go into your favor. And in this case, one of the assumptions might be that Joey might have to have a lot of vowels, a lot of consonants. The problem is that pool is so balanced and Joey's been playing off pretty short. So I think you have a pretty good idea that Joey has nice tiles. So I don't know if is going to be enough to work, but I think it looks the closest, at least of the plays we've identified.
I wonder maybe UH and HM setting up the front D. I'm just not seeing a way that the front D could threaten a big enough score either.
No, that looks less enticing than just going for a Zito on the right. Uh, so let's think back to the Haji HDI. So SOZU, there's no Y for that Soyuz word. Is there anything Uzos? Can he do anything like that? That's a different way you can sort of think about these positions. This is what I want to keep. What can I do with the other tiles? But again, we're not seeing it. I don't think Josh is seeing it as his clock ticks down towards 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing a path to victory here, and I think as Josh spends more and more time here, he likely not seeing one either. No compelling ways to set up this S. No compelling ways to set up this Z. Fishing for Haji again, just not quite going to outrun as you're down now so much. I think Mank, the more I look at it and the more I see what it's done in this game, looks like an awesome play for Joey.
It was really clever, and we've been a bit hard on Joey in a couple points, but he's also put down some really impressive plays. And if he's able to send this to Game 5, it's really because of how well he played in this one. By far his best played game of the set.
Yeah, very solid. And we see Josh missing a bingo, but Joey hitting the natural and crazy woodenly. Very confident on that. Very solid game from Joey. I think the beanie play, perhaps a little bit questionable, but he wasn't punished as Josh unable to pull the trigger on Loppiest earlier this game.
That's true. You mentioned if Josh doesn't come back to win this set, or complete winning this set, Loppiest chickening out on that will really haunt him for some time to come. It was there for the taking. Joey, that was definitely his one really suboptimal play of the game from my perspective, and he got away with it. And sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. He also had that really nice find of Alexia going through the XI, so he's really played well. And Josh, except for that Loppius play, has done so many good things in this game. That Grigri play, where if he didn't find it, everything else was going to be so far below. And Rigi trying to throw off his opponent, thinking he's going for a bingo, but he's actually going for Haji. Trying to go for Haji a few times, playing Join instead of John to go for Haji. It's such a treat to watch this. I feel like I'm learning as much as I'm trying to help others learn, as Josh does go with, it'll give him a minute 21 to make all of his further decisions in this game.
Yeah, but I don't think there are many decisions left to be made. Joey can play Tribe alongside Mank for 43 points. And that'll all but shut this down.
I guess we already knew there was no A there, but Josh is just wondering, I guess it would have been a bit of kick in the head to get the A after the H is gone, but he draws.
Oh, there's an A. There's an A in the back.
Oh, there was an A. Okay, sorry, I get confused by which.
A would have given Zodiacs as well. Not that would have played.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been frustrating to see such a. Or no, it wouldn't quite fit with TEC and AMS isn't a word anyway. So, as you said, he could play up there for Tribe. This one is pretty much over, folks. Matt, you said you wanted a 5-game set, and that is exactly what we're going to get.
Absolutely. Wow. So 2-2, the player going first, winning each of the first 4 games, the player sitting on the left, winning each of the first 4 games. And Josh, by virtue of having a better record in the main event, will get to play first in the final game. I wonder if they'll switch seats again. I believe the player who plays second, according to NASPA rules, gets to choose the equipment and the setup and all that other stuff. So maybe Joey could play a gambit and say, you know what, since I go second, I'm staying on this side of the table. Anyway, I digress. We'll try to get our overhead camera live as soon as this one ends. I don't know if Josh will be willing to hang out or if he wants to go clear his head before a big Game 5. Joey, though, has to be very relieved that he's won this game, and now he just has to win one more game to win that elusive national championship that he has been seeking for so long.
Yeah, both players are such deserving potential champions. Only one of them can be crowned. Both of them can leave here with their heads held high for a great performance, but I know that's not enough for either of them. They both want this championship. So in the chat, I know there's a 5-minute delay, but we'd love to hear who you're rooting for. what you've been enjoying so far in this finals and what you expect in the very pivotal Game 5.
Let's keep it nice, please, in the chat. I know some of us have compelling rooting interests, but please stay positive, say nice things about your preferred candidate. Let's not make this a bash fest for either player.
Yeah, and I think these players are so well liked that I think most people will be positive. We definitely want to hear who you're rooting for, not who you're rooting against. As Josh ends the game with Sears, that's a really clever play through 3 letters. So we like to see that even when it doesn't necessarily matter so much. This one's in the books, folks.
And we'll cut to that overhead camera now.
And we will be quiet.
Have to be this way.
Making it interesting. Yeah, those were really, really cool pre-game. I was trying to go for hot G.
Wouldn't looks good.
I was trying to go for hot G. Like this.
I almost played. I had a ramjet on that turn.
Wow, nice.
But burning the blank and saving the Q. So once you opened that up, it was a no-brainer to do that.
Yeah, there was some really interesting ideas.
Actually, I had you tracked wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a P out there somewhere. So pop. Of course, you played both P's. So
Yeah, I think I chickened out of a word here. That was good.
I see what I did. I crossed off a P. That was like I crossed off the O. But when?
Yeah, I chickened out of lobbyist.
Oh.
And yeah, I paid for it. And then
I can't believe you looked that up.
sort of solidified the notion. So here, I could do. I mean, this is a cool idea. You don't have the E to block, but you can just block pretty easily here.
Oh,
Shad.
yeah.
If you have the B or if you have aorta, it's too easy. Abri, like as long as you have the B, you probably have something. So that doesn't work. I considered this.
Yeah, that would be coming.
But if you just score here, I can't score enough here.
Yeah.
To win. So here I was going for a Zido and iodizers.
429366.
Yeah. I just had second thoughts. When you put the E down, I was like, shit, I'm chickening out of this shit.
Thanks for keeping it exciting.
Yeah, so I was going for Azido or iodizers.
Oh.
Which, unfortunately, only if A or E are in the bag.
Yeah.
Will you be able to really not figure out what to do? Because yeah, if you play anything there, this wins. I didn't see anything I could draw here though, because AM sort of screws me.
Yeah. Mine didn't fit there, I don't think. Like treat. Yeah, battery, that was my rack. The A was the last letter.
What's that?
Yeah, that was my rack that year. A was the last letter.
Keeping the Q non-zero.
Close.
Zero, we have to figure out a tiebreaker.
Yeah,
Right.
which is easy. Just do Armageddon Blitz.
Yeah, I think you're like plus 30.
You're a math guy. You understand.
I'd like what they do in the game of Go, where they assign a half point advantage to one side to the
Well,
players.
I assume they'll go to him because he has the better record in the regulation.
No, we just keep playing until you.
Is that why he went first in the first game? I thought
That's true. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, well, the players have squared. The post-mortem seems about over. We'll let them stretch their legs for a few minutes and come down to a one game to determine the champion situation. Wow, I wished for a game 5, and game 5 is what I'm going to get. I'm going to get up and stretch my legs for a minute, catch my breath. This has been an intense game of Scrabble, and this upcoming final game, I hope for a great one. The last thing we want is a sad, lopsided bagging. Jared, do you want to fill some space, or do we want to cut away for just a brief?
Let's cut away. I could also use a quick break.
Okay, well, y'all won't miss any of the action. We will be back in a few short minutes. One game to determine our 2023 North American Scrabble champion. We'll be right back.